Hello everyone and welcome back to Redfield Gaming. I of course am Speedcube and I will be your host on this Claire first scenario. No damage, hardcore, knife only, oh it's a mouthful isn't it? Knife only run through Raccoon City. I'm not going to bother with any of the cutscenes in this. I'm sure you've all seen them 100 times. We're just going to get straight into the action. So I've got a couple of mods on Claire as you can see here. She's in a casual outfit. And she's got the long ponytail, which I think gives her a great look, which isn't too crazy in this zombie apocalypse that's going on, like some of the mods out there. So I'm going to pop a link to the modders and their great work in the description below, so you can see their stuff for yourself. So a knife only no damage run starts off the same for pretty much most no damage runs. We just run past that zombie. We're going to grab the key at the end, turn around and wait. If we start to go back too quickly, he will turn and go down that aisle. So we want to make sure that he just runs past. If he does turn down that aisle, you'll have to bait him with the double lunge and try and get past him, or it's game over. And then we just head our way back through the petrol station and bump into Leon and make our way to the streets of Raccoon City. So I've chosen Claire for this run because I haven't practiced it. I think she has an easier run than Leon, so I'm making it up as I go along. So we'll just do an about turn in the streets and we'll just keep on running to the police station. So I want to apologise for the sound for the first 5 minutes or so. I've had some problems lately with OBS and Twitch and some of the recording. So after about 5 minutes or so, I fix it and I think we're all good from there. So you probably can hear it's a bit of intermittent music and it's not very clear at the moment. Yeah, after 5 minutes or so, that's all fixed. So although I haven't practiced this run, because at the point of producing this video, we're only halfway through this run. I am aiming for an S rank, but I am trying to figure it out as I go along. I borrow a couple of tricks from other YouTubers, and I'll credit them as we go through the run. So now we're at the police station. My tactic here is that we need to get into that storeroom just up ahead around this corner, where there is a board for the windows. So this storeroom here, we want to get in there. It makes this bit a bit tricky, and we have to kind of go against the grain for how runners normally do this. So we have to come into the press office and turn on the light. We're coming back here in a minute. And as you saw there are two lights on at the moment, two rows of lights. If we come back in here in a minute and turn the lights on, for some reason, only half the lights in that room go on. I don't know if that's just a glitch at my end, but just for a few seconds' sake, I'm going to do it before we meet Elliot here. And normally I would bait this zombie who's about to come along over the table and run past him, but I'm trying to practice the zombie lunges through the door trick like this. Run through, zombie gives chase. It's terrifying because he nearly catches you, but I'm trying to practice that because I'll be using that trick quite a bit. So instead of running straight past those two zombies, we come back into the press office and we wait at the right-hand side of the desk. The idea being we want the other zombies to follow us in here. We run around the desk and go on out and go and get the board from the storeroom. And this is a lot easier when you can use your gun because you can stagger them and stop them from moving to kind of keep them in a certain place. We can't use our gun. It's a knife only run, so we've got to get creative or cross our fingers or a bit of both. So the other zombie's trying to break through. I'm still practicing my door maneuver, messed it up there, got lucky. But what we would do here, we'd run in, and this is really specific. We grab the board, run to the right, back, and around. If we don't do it that way, that zombie will catch us. And that is almost always successful with Claire, and not so much with Leon. And I don't know whether that's pure coincidence or simply for the fact that Claire has a smaller hitbox. I don't know. I haven't really researched it, but that's my usual approach, because now we've got that first board that you would normally only have one board at this stage if you're doing it on assisted, but now we have that first board on hardcore mode. We can start to block up the windows in the west corridor, which can get very messy very quickly if we don't. And that's always my approach. I would do that even on a run with weapons as well, as a knife only run, especially on Claire's run, because Claire, unlike Leon, has to use the heart key to get into the records room, which means going through the West Office and through the corridor with the liquors. And when you're being chased by Mr. X later on, that can be really, really dangerous. But by clearing out this corridor we're about to go into, and boarding up the windows so there's nothing in there, it gives us a proper escape route later on. Here, there is a zombie hanging up. I'm running into him on purpose there. Sometimes, if you're lucky, just for fun, you can catch him and do like a fireman's carry and send him halfway down the hallway with you. But it didn't happen there. So this is the window we want to board up, because this is where the first zombie will break through. Later on, that would have meant there would have been 2 zombies in that hallway the next time we come through here if I hadn't done that. So now, that gives us a massive advantage. We're going to ignore the zombie at the vending machine. We're not going to bother with him, and we're also going to ignore the chap on the ground there. He would only wake up if we use the weapons locker key card, which we're not. And we have to grab this board here and use it on the window, because if we don't, within seconds, this guy breaks through and will follow us up the stairs, which is bad news. Now, right at the top here, there is another zombie coming down the stairs. You've got 2 options here. You can either knife him as he starts to come down the stairs, but I was trying to hold on to my knives and their integrity because they break. Or you can wait for him to come down a bit and he will fall over the banister trying to reach you like this. Now that he's done that, we're free to go. We want to get as many knives as possible, and there's a knife in locker 103, which means we have to get the button which is inside this portable safe. And you get to see my mad skills at opening that in a minute. Not. But next we have to go right to the top, past where that zombie would have been, and we have to pick up the club key, which is sitting on the table just round the corner. But before we go back downstairs, we're going to head on into the attic, and we're going to pick up our second board. And this will also go towards that west corridor as well. We're not going to do anything else in here. We're not going to go back through the library. We'll come to the library later on. We're just going to get this board and turn around. Now, lickers in this game work on sound. You can get around them. They work on sound. Zombies also react to sound as well, but unlike lickers, they're not blind. So the reason I'm walking through that door here is this entire stairwell counts as one big room. And if I'd started running into this room, the zombie that dropped off the banister earlier would now be making his way back up the stairs towards Claire. But because I'm walking, he can't hear us. So he's instead moved to his new tether point, which is down the end of this corridor by the corner to the weapons locker room. So I'm just edging down the stairs just to double check, and yes, there he is. He doesn't even know we are here. So we're going to head back into the safe room here. We're going to pick up the additional ink ribbons, because there's no shame in saving as we go through this. We are experimenting as we go along, and I'm going to try and get into the portable safe. Now, I don't know whether it was just because I was recording the playthrough, but all memory went out the window here, and I could not remember the pattern for the life of me. So this takes me potentially longer than it should have done to get the button out of it. But while I'm doing this, I'll just explain the next tactic I'm about to use. I saw this on Dante Ravioli's channel when he was doing a knife-only run. He used it in the sewers, trying to escape the 2 zombies that come up that long narrow stairwell in the sewers. I'm going to employ that trick here, and it's how to almost not despawn, but how to get rid of the aggro of zombies by backing just slightly away through the door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out into the corridor, and I'm going to bait that zombie by the weapons locker room to come back down towards us, and at the last minute I'm going to step just slightly into this save room again, at which point he will sever all aggro with us, and he'll start to turn away again, and you have a split second where he won't try and attack you if you move past him, and that's when we just slip by, and it works. It works. So I'm going to do that in a minute when I eventually get into this portable safe. I think we might... No, still haven't even got it. So now I've just got to fill the empty void with my voice. Oh no, we've done it now, so that's good. You don't have to listen to me waffle any more than I already am. Cool, so we now have the button. We can use that to get into locker number 103 and get the knife. I'm just checking here, making sure that the zombie's not there. I'm walking so he can't hear us because he's looking away. He can't see us, he doesn't know we're there. But I've aggroed him by running, and I'm going to lure him back to the safe room. Keeping an eye on him. I'm just going to stand just slightly in the doorway. I'm not in the safe room because you can't hear the safe room music. Now you can. The aggro's gone. And then we just run past. Then he realizes. So we've got to be quick. We've got to be quick. And the guy that was by the vending machine is now even further around the corner. So it gives us about 30 seconds to a minute or so just to get the knife out of the locker before the zombies will try and come in here. So that's nice and quick. We can get the knife and then head on into the West office, where we're going to get the first side pack, or the only side pack of the run. And the great thing about a knife-only run is we don't have to worry so much about inventory management and being careful. Hence, I'm still carrying around the ink ribbons with us. So the combination is 9, 15, 7, and you find that out from a file in Wesker's office within the stars room. So now we're going to head back to the hall, and the moment we got these stairs here, the zombie in the sergeant's office behind us will wake up and move to his default spawn point. So that's the cutscene where Leon arrives, but we're not going to go and meet Leon just yet. We've got a few more things we need to do. So I'm just going to head back upstairs and go over to the library, but I'm not going to go into the library just yet. We'll deal with the library later, but I'm going to use the key on the library door so that I can get it out of my inventory when I go through the waiting room in a minute, because hey, why not, right? And on the way to the waiting room, I'm just going to grab the medallion from the lion statue, and the combination is lion, leaf, and bird. And we're only just doing this because we happen to be running past it. We don't need it just yet, but we may as well do it while we're there. So next up, when we go through the waiting room, just past the waiting room is another board blocking up the windows, which will give us 3. We've already got 1 in our inventory. We'll pick this one up. That'll have 2 in our inventory and be the 3rd board overall, which means we can block up all the windows that are broken in the west corridor, which means when we go through in a minute with the bolt cutters, and also when we are dodging Mr. X later on, we have a nice safe run to the records room through the heart key door. Couldn't remember the key there. It's a heart key, isn't it? So I'm just running back down this way, and I'm going to pop the medallion into the statue just to get it out of the inventory. I'm trying to be as efficient as I possibly can on the run.
So Elliot was right.
Yeah.
So I know this seems like a bit of a faff, and the reason why I'm doing this now is the moment you go and meet Leon and the helicopter crashes into the building, sets the alarm off, and the zombies start breaking down the gates, they break in all around the police station. So we have a little moment of calm, start boarding up windows before that happens. So we have to do it now, we can't do it any other point. So let's just get it out of the way now. And that corridor is completely boarded off. Nothing is getting in here, or at least no zombies are getting in here whatsoever. There are some lickers that we've got to deal with later on. We'll worry about those later on, because we can despawn those. There's a little trick to that. Okay, so here I was trying to dodge the crash to stop Claire from staggering, but it didn't work. It doesn't do anything. I was just seeing if I could avoid it. What I'm going to do here, though, I'm also going to pick up another board in that corner there, as well as the bolt cutters, because when we go through the east office in a minute, we want to make sure that we board up the window in there. Later on, we're going to be running through here, away from Mr. X, and I'll explain why later on. And as we run through, a zombie will break through that window unless we board it up now. So we want to make sure that this run is as safe as possible. The board is right there, why not? So that's the window we're going to use it on. This one just here, where that zombie's already trying to break in. Now we go into the sergeant's office, grab the valve, turn around, very quickly grab the fuse, and then go straight to the door. If you can't get it in time, you have to try and bait the zombie around the room and try and get around the tables before getting back to this door. But you've got to be careful because other zombies try and come in from the corridor where Elliot was. So now I'm going to save it because I don't want to have to go through that all again if I screw up on the next bit. So that's why I was saving when I got to this point. So now we have to make our way back through the west corridor with the bolt cutters. We're going to go and collect the remaining 2 medallions and leave the police station for now. And at this point we would be facing break-ins from every single window, but we've boarded them all up, so this is relatively safe now. In fact, it's very safe. They're not going to break through. You've got these guys just around the corner who give us a nice little jump scare. I think that's a great shot. And on the second scenario, they will actually break through, which means you need a bit of a different tactic when getting through here. So we're going to use the bolt cutters on the door and get through to pick up the detonator. Now, in the next room, the zombie that was by the vending machine is going to move to a new default position. He's going to be directly facing us when we go through this door, so we're going to walk through. And the guy that fell off the banister earlier will be just around the corner. So the tactic is we want to sneak through the middle of them, but I don't want to go too near, but I should have gone a bit further out at that point, nearly got caught, and that was a close one. The zombie that was sitting down at the top will now have woken up, will be one of 2 places, and she's in the good place. The other place is right by this door, and fortunately she wasn't there. So we can use the valve to turn off the steam, and this will get us through to the STARS office. Now at the STARS office, just outside is the first time that we normally encounter the liquor, and it's on a script, so it's just going to pick up that body and not do anything. It's going to move to its new default position by the door to the library, but as I found out the hard way, you have to wait a little while before going back out into the hallway. If you go out too soon, the liquor will still have hate on you and will attack the moment you leave the room. So I'm just going to run around for a bit, that's what I'm doing here, before walking and leaving the STARS office to make our way around to the library. As we go around this corner, we've got to be very, very quiet. We can't run, and we've got to hug the right-hand side of the wall. The liquor will know that Claire is there, but it won't attack as long as we don't touch it or start running. And once we open this door, we can start running through. So the combination for the unicorn statue is double fish, scorpion, and jar of water. And once we open the door to get into the library, the zombie that's walking around is going to be in one of 2 places. It's either going to be just to the right by the stairs or on the far side of the room. In this instance, she's on the far side of the room, which means we have to go up to the attic first and activate the goddess statue before remembering to come back down and moving the bookcases into position for when we come back later on while we're being chased by Mr. X. So we now use the detonator onto the C4 and run back to the library, making sure we hold the door open so that the bookcase doesn't fall over and essentially block our way out when we need to make a hasty retreat in a minute. So once we get back to the statue, the combination is maiden, arrow, snake. You can hear the liquor running around in the ceiling, but don't worry, it's not going to come into the room until we leave the statue once we've got the medallion. And now we've got the medallion, we have to leg it as fast as we can. So we have to hug the left-hand side of the wall, the liquor drops down, jumps back, and then tries to pounce. And then we run over the zombie that drops out of the ceiling. Don't run in front of it, just run over its back and it won't get you. And now we come back down the stairs. We've got to take care to avoid that zombie that's walking around. That's a little bit too close for comfort there, But while she's on that side of the room, we can quickly move these bookcases into position. Starting at the left, just keeping an eye on where she is. Just move them across to the right so we don't have to worry about this later. But to my horror later on, I don't know whether there's some bizarre glitch or not, the bookcases reset themselves, and I've never seen that before, but that really threw me off guard later on when I came back to the library, and it took me about 3 attempts to try and move them with Mr. X on my tail, and of course the zombies all moving around the room. But anyway, I didn't know that at this point. So now we've got the 2 remaining medallions. We can put that into the statue in the hallway and get into the underground part of the police station and fight Birkin for the first time. So the damage done in this game by the knife is tied directly to your frame rate. So the higher the frame rate, the more damage you're going to do with each swing. And the idea for the first Birkin fight is you want to keep swinging the knife at him and keep him in like a stun lock whilst he flails around, so that he never even gets a chance to hit you before you finish him off. So that's really easy if you have a ridiculously high frame rate. At 60 frames per second that I'm on, that's pretty good, but I found this still quite a struggle. And I did it around 20 to 30 times and only got lucky around 5 times. But I kept trying because I wanted to try and get a consistent strategy, but I couldn't do it without losing 1 knife to Birkin. But I did find a couple of things that did work for me, which was that with each swing of the knife, it's where Claire's swing ends up that actually does the damage, not so much the middle of the swing. And that's really important when you're trying to aim and hit the eye. And the other thing is that by pushing forward as well as trying to circle around Birkin, like this, so I'm pushing forward as well, it makes Birkin's pattern go really kind of, it goes in a very strange pattern. So what I stopped doing is I stopped moving forward and just circled around as necessary. I found that was a bit more effective. So you can see he's going around me here, and I'm not pushing into him. In fact, I'm missing him a few times because I'm trying to keep my distance. So there I've got him into a stun, so I'm going to keep hitting his shoulder, and I'm trying to make my swing end up at the eye. But in a minute, he'll grab me like that. So he grabs him at this point, and I can afford to lose that 1 knife. But I can't afford to lose any more. So I carry on hitting again, and at this point, when he gets up again, I decided to run him around the room, because there are a couple of times that he stops and you can still hit him. And those 2 times, or one of those is an overhead swing. He'll swing his pole overhead, hit the ground, and his arm will stay in place long enough for you to get a couple of swings at him. And the other time is, whilst he's still going through his mutation, he'll stop and he'll flail around again. And this happens on both phases, even when his eye is red later on. So it's just a matter of biding your time, baiting him nearer and nearer, and then striking. So here we go. He's going to do that's the swing. That's the downward swing. Gives you a chance to hit him. And then run away. And just be patient. Don't get tempted to get in close, because then you risk losing another knife or getting hit. There we go. That's one of his flails. So when he's doing that, you can just keep heading away. And at this point, I get very lucky. He's about to hit me again, but I just managed to finish him off. So after this, that's me thinking that that was a knife on the ground. I thought I'd get my knife back, but I didn't. So we'll go up and we're going to get to the next save point, because at this point I had done it 20 or 30 times and I was absolutely sick of this fight, trying to work out the best way to do it. But I wanted to leave that last one in to show you that it can be done, knife only, without keeping him stun locked. It's not easy, but if you're patient, you can do it. But to try and illustrate my point about the frame rate, what I'm going to show you in a second is I went back and I did it again after I'd saved it, and this time I did it with by changing my graphics settings to boost my frame rate to a ridiculous and unrealistic number. I think it was like 200 plus, just to show you how easy it is when your frame rate is that high. So what I did was I booted up my PS1 and loaded up Resident Evil 2. No, I'm just kidding. What I've done here is I've lowered the graphic settings to the absolute minimum, which includes the VSync, which has a major impact on frame rate. So this is the absolute minimum. You can see my frame rate a lot clearer here because of the resolution. It's going up to above 200. So I think we start the fight at 200. It's dropped down to about 150 now or so. But watch this. Watch how easy we do this. This was first try. 170, 160. But we are just keeping Birkin in this perpetual sort of stun. There he goes, he's down. He's already into the orange. I'm just switching to another knife here. And here we go again. 160 frames at this point. Gone. Done. So easy. Now, they didn't do this in Resident Evil 3. I don't know why this was never fixed for Resident Evil 2, but I just wanted to show you that, just so you can see how ridiculously easy it is if you have a high frame rate, and it's not just purely about skill. Your knife damage is tied to that. So for the next part of the run, it's pretty much business as usual. You kind of do this even if you weren't doing a knife-only run. We've just got to make our way past the liquors in the basement and go and get the diamond key so we can get back into the police station.
Key card first.
So at this point, we're not going to bother going to pick up any of the ammunition, and this liquor on the wall here, the only way you can kill him is with infinite rocket launcher, and even if you do, it doesn't decrease the number of liquors that we have to get past. So we walk into the room because there's two in here. They're feasting on the corpses of the dogs that Leon would have taken out earlier on in his run. So Leon is ahead at this point, and just make our way under them into the morgue at the end of the corridor. So once we're in the morgue, I start running again. I normally try and just give it a bit of time so as not to cause any aggro. It's also good practice as well for sneaking past some of the zombies and stuff like that. But anyway, we want to grab the diamond key, and the moment we got that, we turn around and we run, because the zombie by the door is going to start getting up. So we go back out and we stop running before we go back into the room with the liquors. Go right up to the first liquor. As soon as it hears you, turn around and walk out again. And as soon as you open the door, turn around again, and the liquor will move to its new tether on the wall next to the other one, allowing us to get past nice and easily. Now, I have seen it on Comchick's run, where he's done it, where he's not even reset the liquors, he has just walked past them. I haven't tried that myself, but that's the way I normally do it. There's one more liquor here on the ceiling. Whatever you do, don't look up at it, because for some reason that causes the aggro. The liquor will jump down and pounce on you. Just carry on walking, hugging the wall until you get back into the car park, and then run round towards the lift.
Must be where that guy came from.
But we can use the key here and turn the power back on. Even if I wasn't doing a knife-only run, I don't usually pick up the extension for the grenade launcher at this point until I'm leaving. You're normally fighting in such close quarters here that you don't need the additional range that it provides. It's just a waste of 2 slots. I normally get that when I'm leaving the police station. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick up the heart key, and we're going to begin the wonderful chase through the RPD in a minute. Now this part of the run, it took me about 3 attempts, because I mentioned earlier that for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but the bookcases had reset their position and I wasn't prepared for that, and it took me 3 attempts to kind of do this in a kind of safe way, without getting killed or cornered, but it was really bizarre, but I managed it in the end. And I'll talk you through what I found at that point. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to walk into the room, because there's 2 zombies in this room and I didn't want to aggro them by running. So I'm just going to go into the middle and pick up the large gear, and then walk up the ramp until we aggro this zombie here. There he goes. What I'm trying to do here is to get him to walk past the ramp so I can sneak behind him, to the door and use the heart key. What I probably could have done was just run up to him and then run back around the room and let him around. But anyway, I decided to do it this way. Use the heart key, go and grab the Aegis Q conductor and the knife that's sticking out of the mannequin. And this is another example of why I was trying to practice the bursting through the door trick earlier. It was because it's the only way we can get out at this point. So when he bursts through, we run past. Again, it's always too close for comfort. And I was not going to be taking any chances, so I picked up that board because I wanted to go down to the ground floor and get the additional saves in the interrogation room at the bottom. Yes, call me a chicken, but I was taking no chances and making up most of this as I was going along. So we stick the board on because as soon as we run past, that zombie will break through and we don't want to have to run past him on the way out. Once you get through here, as long as you stick to the right hand wall just to pick up the saves, the licker won't burst through the window. That's only if you run on the other side of the table, so that's harmless, that part of the run, and I think worth it to get the additional ink ribbons. So before we start the Mr. X run, I'm just sorting out my inventory, making sure I've got enough room for stuff. I don't need all those knives, so I decided to put them back and, of course, save it. Even though I've done the Mr. X run a million times, there's still things that can always go wrong. Down these stairs up ahead, there's two zombies. One will be just behind us as we go down the stairs, and there's one round this corner near the door. The idea here is we've got to be super quick and change the direction of the water flow and then move over to the left and watch for the two zombies. The moment the female zombie comes into view, we need to run to the left and do a large circle round them and then double back. If you go any sooner, the female zombie will catch you as you're trying to run around because you can't get past. You need to almost get them out far enough into the room before making your way around. Turn on the water, and then again, another trick that I learned from Dante Ravioli is just to peek around the corner at the tyrant and run back outside. Just wait at this point. Wait for him to come out, and he'll just slowly come out through the door nicely, and you can run past. Works every time. In fact, on one of those 3 attempts I was telling you about, I must have done it so quickly that I didn't even aggro him. He lost aggro before he'd even come out onto the balcony, and I had free reign to go and explore the police station whilst he went off elsewhere. Anyway, I always come out down these stairs because there are 4 doors between where we were and the main hall, essentially slowing Mr. X down because he has to stoop every time he goes through a door. If you go through the waiting room, there's only 2 doors, so he's closer to you. You can see now why I boarded up that window back there, because as we're running through, a zombie would have broken through. Here at this door, we run in, aggro the lickers, and come back out and make sure that we shut the door and walk back in just to check that they've gone. They will then despawn and move over into the hallway by the weapons locker room. And now we've boarded up those 3 windows earlier, it's safe to run through here. And this is always my route with Claire on hardcore mode, because the last thing I want to do is to pick up the tool in the next room, in the records room, and try and go back through the corridor, the hallway into the west office, because Mr. X will now start to home in on your location at this point, and you'll run into him. So I come back out this way and make my way back through the corridor. At this point, Mr. X is coming into the waiting room area, and you can start to hear his footsteps. So he is heading back towards the records room via that route, realizes we're not there, and because we're running, he now starts to come back towards the main hall. So he's sort of parallel with us at the moment. So we have to be quick to run through here and then make our way back up to the library. So what I do here is I slow right down and take a note of where the zombies are. So the zombie to my right hasn't woken up yet, but now he does as soon as I run past him. And the zombie that's on the far side of the room is now making her way across. So I've got to be really quick and do this in order. Starting with the right, move the bookcase into place. Then I use the tool on the jack, free up that bookcase, go to the far left and start moving everything across to the right. And I'm trying to keep an eye on where she is, and I know she's getting really close at this stage. I got so lucky there. So lucky. But I was able to run around and get up the ladder. And that then starts to activate the zombie that's on the ground who's already eating. So he's now walking around as well. There's about 3 zombies in this room. And Mr. X is somewhere nearby as well. Once we're out on the... No, he's still in the hallway. You can hear him. Now we're on this balcony. We need to hug the right wall because there's a zombie just to our left there. And we have to do the cogs to get the bell working again and free up the second cube conductor. So at this point I'm fiddling around with my inventory really clumsily because I think I was still thrown by the fact that the bookcases were not where I expected them to be. So now that we've activated the clock tower again, and we've got the second cube conductor, my route is always the same. I always go back through the library. I don't like going back the other way. I find this is a much safer route to go back. So at this point, I can't quite tell where Mr. X is, but I know one of the zombies is right outside. I think actually Mr. X was just outside the door there to the left, blocking the way into the library, so that's why I came back in. There he is. Now he's moved away where I want him to be. So I'm heading back down this way. I'm conscious that he knows where we are now and he's chasing us. So I move round to the left and drop through the floor. I kind of feel that's almost what that's there for. It's like a quick escape route, and the zombies will be on the other side of the room, which is great. Leaves us a free run back through the police station with Mr. X far away, and we can get back and get out. There he is. He's up there on the top floor, miles away. I would have thought he would have gone back to the library by now, but we seem to have completely evaded him. So we could practically walk back and have a smoke on the way if we wanted to. He's not catching us at this stage. Take the other part out now because we're going to go and use them on the puzzle, and we're going to start Sherry segment, which another reason why I think Claire's run's easier is because she's got the Sherry segment. Once you've done it and you know what you're doing, it's so much easier than trying to pull off Ada's segment flawlessly every time, just because there's more RNG with Ada's segment. And watch me do this in a really clumsy fashion. I think again it's that whole I'm doing this and I'm recording it. I wanted to do it really perfectly and it's so not perfect. But hey, it doesn't matter, right? The door's still open at the end of it.
Where's that?
So with Sherry's segment, the first thing we have to do is to do the little block puzzle, and if you do this in, I think, 60 seconds, you get the achievement, Young Escapee. I got this ages ago, but I think purely by fluke. I have never bothered, and I don't know why, I've never bothered to work out the kind of knack to this. I just kind of wing it every time, so just mess around with the blocks until I get it right. I think there is a certain pattern you can put the first block in. If you put it in, like, I don't know, one of the slots, it's a lot easier. But I'm just messing around with it at this stage till I get it all lined up. So I think by the time I finish with this, the whole Raccoon City would have been destroyed by that missile strike. Yeah, I know. I wouldn't blame you if you'd stop watching at this point. But why did we need those scissors? She could so tear that off the wall. But it wouldn't be Resident Evil without a crazy puzzle, right?
What is this?
Anyway, it's a lot easier trying to do the do Sherry's segment in the remake than it was in the original, where, if memory serves, you had to dodge the dogs, I think, and trying to do that damage-free is very, very hard. Whereas all this bit's got, it's just a stealth mechanic with a set pattern around the room to avoid irons. It is easy once you've done it. I think the first couple of times I did it, you know, I messed it up big time because I was still learning. But yeah, you can do this pretty much perfect every time once you've done it.
No.
I find Ada's harder because of the zombies in there. If you're trying to disable the zombies or take them out to make your route safer, the RNG of getting lucky with a critical shot to blow a limb off is it's a lot harder.
You are gonna be so fucking sorry!
Go away! Help! Somebody, please!
You stupid bitch, that's a dead end!
Hide.
It's all over now! Doors locked! Where are you? Show yourself! I know you're in here! The longer it takes me to find you, the worse it's gonna be!
Oh God.
Bitch has gotta be here somewhere. Oh. God damn it! Son of a bitch.
No more. No more. Please.
This is your last fucking chance. Show yourself. Now! Oh, fuck! It burns!
So that's it. We'll grab the key and just keep running at this point.
Fuck is my key? I see. You.
Hurry. Hurry. Hurry.
I'm coming for you, Sherry! Get over here, you little bitch!
Good to see you again, Claire.
Just you wait, asshole.
So there we go. So after all that running through the RPD and Sherry segment, I decided this was a good halfway point through the run, or at least I thought it was about a halfway point. I think it's a halfway point. And decided to save it here and make this part one of 2 videos. So I'm going to stop the run here for now and get this out because I have too many audio and, you know, graphical problems when I'm trying to record these things. So this is a TBC, and I'll get the second part out shortly. So if you've managed to make it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that until next time, stay safe. Bye bye.